The frozen wastes of Proxima 6 stretched endlessly beyond the walls of Nolan Reed's emergency shelter. His research vessel had crashed 3 months ago, leaving him as the sole survivor on this desolate ice world. Each day blended into the next check. Oxygen levels, repair equipment, send distress signals that disappeared into the void. Tonight, the blizzard howled with unusual ferocity. Nolan huddled near his thermal generator, watching ice crystals form intricate patterns on the shelter's reinforced windows. The storm's wail almost masked the sound of strange. Melodic cry carried on the wind. The ice shifted, he muttered. But something primal in him recognized the sound of distress against better judgment. Nolan donned his thermal suit and ventured into the storm. The wind pushed against him like a living entity as his helmet lights cut through swirling white. The cry came again, closer now, near a jagged ice formation. He found her a slender figure with translucent lavender skin that pulsed with faint inner light. Not human, but humanoid. Blood the color of morning sky leaked from a wound in her side. Her eyes opened iridescent orbs that shifted between silver and purple. "Help," she whispered, the word appearing in Nolan's mind rather than his ears. He hesitated. 3 months alone had made him cautious but not heartless. He lifted her surprisingly light body and fought his way back through the storm. Inside the shelter, her skin began to crystallize along the edges. "Cold," she communicated, "dying cold." Nolan cranked the thermal generator to maximum, but her condition worsened. The light beneath her skin dimmed. "Please," her mental voice faded. "Need warmth." "Your warmth? My warmth? I don't understand." "Direct contact. My species absorbs heat through touch." Her eyes locked with his. "I don't want to die cold and alone." Something in her desperate plea broke through Nolan's isolation. He removed his outer gear and wrapped his arms around her slender form. Her skin felt like cool glass against his. "What's your name?" he asked softly. "Thelia," came the reply, stronger now. "Guardian of the cosmic seeds." As they remained embraced, the purple glow beneath her skin brightened. Nolan felt a curious connection forming as though something of himself was flowing into her. Not just heat, but emotion. "What are you?" he whispered. Before she could answer, a mechanical wail pierced the night, distant but unmistakable. Thelia stiffened in his arms. "They found me," she whispered, terror lacing her thoughts. "The collectors. They'll destroy everything." Outside, red lights pierced the blizzard like malevolent stars searching through the snow. Blue light of Trust the Red scanner beams swept past the shelter's windows, casting crimson shadows across the floor. Thelia trembled against Nolan, her breathing shallow and quick. "They tracked my energy signature," she explained, her thoughts flowing directly into his mind. "The collectors harvest beings like me for our essence." Nolan dimmed the shelter lights. "What are you exactly?" "My people are Luminari. We nurture cosmic seeds, dormant life forces that will become new stars someday." Her inner light pulsed gently as she spoke. "I crashed while fleeing with the last seed from my sector." A mechanical clank sounded outside, metal feet on ice. Nolan's hand instinctively moved to his plasma cutter, the closest thing to a weapon he had. "They'll detect us soon," Thelia whispered. Unless... Unless what?" "I can mask our presence, but I need more of your energy. Not just warmth, deeper connection." Her eyes met his, hesitant yet determined. "It requires trust. Complete openness." Nolan swallowed hard. After months of isolation, the thought of something accessing his innermost self terrified him more than the machines outside. "What would I have to do?" Thelia placed her delicate hands on either side of his face. "Just remember, feel, be present with me." As their foreheads touched, a flood of blue light enveloped them both. Suddenly, Nolan wasn't just in his shelter, he was experiencing fragments of Thelia's memories. Stars being born, vast nebulae spreading colors no human eye had seen. The terror of pursuit across galaxies. In turn, she witnessed his life. His childhood in the Arizona desert, the loss of his partner in a terraforming accident that drove him to solo missions. His loneliness, your pain, she whispered in his mind. "It's beautiful in its depth." The blue glow intensified, spreading throughout the shelter before contracting into a tight sphere around them. Outside, the collector's scanners whirred in confusion. Signal lost, came a mechanical voice through the storm. Nolan gasped as the connection ebbed. Thelia's hand still cupped his face, her eyes wide with wonder. "You gave more than was needed," she said softly. Their faces remained close, breath mingling in the cold air. Without thinking, Nolan leaned forward, pressing his lips gently against hers. Her skin tasted like stardust and electricity. When they parted, her inner light had shifted to a warm golden hue. The wound at her side had begun to heal, sealing itself with crystalline tissue. "We'll return with better scanners," she warned. "We have hours, maybe less." Nolan stood, new determination flooding him. "Then we need a plan. My emergency beacon is damaged, but with your knowledge of energy signatures, maybe we could repair it. Call for help." Thelia's glow brightened with hope. "Yes, and perhaps send a false signal to lead the collectors away." As they worked side by side through the night, their hands occasionally brushing, Nolan realized he hadn't felt this alive in years. Something about her presence awakened parts of him he thought had died long ago. Outside, the storm finally began to wane, revealing a sky filled with distant stars, each one a possibility. Dawn broke over Proxima 6, turning the ice fields into seas of diamond light. Nolan and Thelia worked feverishly on the emergency beacon, connecting her crystalline technology to his human engineering. "Your species builds remarkably adaptive devices," Thelia observed, her fingers tracing the circuit pathways with precision. When she touched metal, small bursts of energy transferred, activating components that had long been dead. "And yours apparently controls energy at a cellular level," Nolan replied, watching in fascination as her inner light fluctuated with her concentration. Their workspace was intimate heads, bent close together, breathing synchronized. Each time their skin touched, Nolan felt that same connection from before, though less intense. Little glimpses of her consciousness brushed against his mind. "You're doing that on purpose," he said with a small smile. Thelia's skin flushed a deeper purple. "It's comforting. Being connected to someone after so long alone, I know exactly what you mean." As Thelia initiated the beacon's power sequence, her inner light surged. Suddenly, she collapsed against him, her form trembling. "What's wrong?" Nolan asked, catching her. "Used too much energy," she whispered. "Need to replenish?" Without hesitation, he lifted her to his sleeping area and lay beside her, pulling her close. This time, the energy transfer felt different, deliberate, intimate. Her consciousness intertwined more fully with his, creating a sensation unlike anything he'd experienced. "Is this how your people connect?" he asked softly, stroking her luminescent hair. "Yes," she responded, her mental voice tender. "We share everything: memories, emotions, dreams." In this deeper connection, Nolan saw her world before the collectors came. Vast crystal cities suspended in nebula clouds, her life as a guardian, sworn to protect the cosmic seeds. She, in turn, experienced his most treasured memories: sunrise over Earth's oceans, the taste of fresh fruit, the simple joy of human touch. Their bodies moved closer instinctively. When they kissed this time, the boundary between them seemed to dissolve entirely. Light passed between them, creating patterns across their skin, is now faintly glowing, hers warming to a human temperature. "I never expected," Thelia whispered against his neck, "to find such warmth in such a cold place." Their embrace deepened, bodies learning each other's contours in the soft blue light. For precious hours, they forgot the danger hunting them, lost in the discovery of each other's worlds. Afterward, they lay entwined, her light pulsing in time with his heartbeat. "The beacon is ready," Thelia said finally, reluctantly pulling away. "It will send 2 signals, one to your people, one false trail for the collectors." Nolan touched her face gently. And then, before she could answer, the shelter's proximity alarm blared to life. On the small monitor, metallic figures emerged from the horizon, dozens of them. Converging on their position, "They've called reinforcements," Thelia whispered, fear and determination mingling in her voice. Nolan rose, helping her up. Then we fight. The final stand, the shelter shuddered as the first collector units reached the perimeter. Through the viewport, Nolan counted at least 15 metallic figures, each twice his height, their optical sensors burning crimson against the white landscape. Activate the beacon now, he instructed, checking the charge on his plasma cutter. The tool wasn't designed as a weapon, but its energy core could be overloaded, one desperate measure. He'd prepared during his months alone. Thelia's hands danced across the modified beacon. Signal sent. Help will come in 6 hours if anyone receives it. 6 hours seemed impossibly distant as the first metallic fist punched through the outer door. Stay behind me, Nolan said, positioning himself protectively. Thelia's eyes flashed. No. We fight together. Her hands began to glow with concentrated energy. I'm not just a guardian, I'm a warrior. The door burst inward. A collector unit stepped through, its segmented body twisting to scan the room. Before it could register them, Thelia released a pulse of energy that sent it staggering backward. Run, she shouted, grabbing Nolan's hand. They burst from the shelter's rear emergency exit into the blinding white expanse. Half a kilometer away, ice formations created a natural labyrinth, their only hope for cover. 3 collectors pivoted to pursue, moving with uncanny speed across the ice. Nolan fired his plasma cutter, severing a leg from the nearest machine. It collapsed but continued dragging itself forward, relentless. They reached the ice maze breathless. Crystalline walls towered above them, refracting sunlight into prismatic patterns. Thelia pulled Nolan deeper into the labyrinth, following some instinct he couldn't perceive. There's something here, she whispered. Something familiar. They emerged into a central chamber where the ice had been cleared away, revealing a metallic circle embedded in the ground. Intricate symbols, similar to those on Thelia's skin when she glowed, covered its surface. A seed vault? She gasped. My people have been here before. Mechanical sounds echoed through the ice maze. The collectors were closing in. Can we use it? Nolan asked urgently. Thelia knelt, placing her hands on the ancient metal. Yes, but it requires significant energy, more than I have left. Nolan understood immediately. Take what you need from me. Their eyes met. It could be dangerous for you, she warned. I trust you. As the first collector broke through the ice wall, Thelia embraced Nolan fully. This time, the energy transfer was intense and purposeful. He felt his strength draining rapidly, but held her tighter, refusing to let go. The vault beneath them hummed to life. A beam of pure light erupted upward, encasing them in a protective field, just as the collectors converged. The machines pounded against the energy barrier, their metal claws sending sparks flying with each impact. Slowly, the barrier began to crack. Hold on, Thelia whispered, her form now blazing so brightly Nolan could barely look at her. Just a little longer. As his consciousness began to fade, Nolan pressed his lips to hers one final time. No matter what happens, he murmured, finding you was worth everything. The barrier shattered. The collectors surged forward and froze. Above them, the sky had torn open, revealing a massive ship descending through the clouds. Not a rescue vessel. Something ancient and powerful, responding to the seed vault's activation. Thelia's eyes widened in recognition. The Guardians. The Guardian vessel hovered above the ice field, a colossal structure of living crystal and light that dwarfed anything Nolan had ever seen. From its underside, beams of energy lashed out, dismantling the collectors with surgical precision. Nolan watched through half-conscious eyes, his strength nearly depleted from the energy Thelia had drawn. She cradled him in her arms, her own light stabilizing. Stay with me, she whispered, her forehead pressed to his. Please, Nolan. Small vessels descended from the Guardian ship, carrying beings similar to Thelia, but more radiant. They surrounded the pair, speaking in a language of light and vibration. Thelia responded, her voice passionate as she gestured to Nolan. He understood none of it, but the emotion behind her words transcended language. One of the Guardians, taller than the others, approached and placed a crystalline hand on Nolan's chest. Instantly, energy flowed into him, not the same as Thelia's connection, but restorative nonetheless. His strength returned in a rush. "They're healing you," Thelia explained, joy and sadness mingling in her voice. "The elders have come themselves. They received the vault signal. It's been centuries since one was activated." As Nolan stood, the Elder Guardian addressed him in heavily accented English. "Human who saves. Great debt we owe." "I just did what anyone would do," Nolan replied. The Guardian's light pulsed in what might have been amusement. "No, not anyone. Special you are." Thelia took Nolan's hand, her fingers intertwining with his. "They've offered me passage home," she said softly. "The cosmic seed I was protecting is still intact within me. It must be delivered to the nursery nebula." Realization dawned on Nolan. "You're leaving." The pain in her eyes mirrored his own. "I must. It's my sacred duty around them." The remaining Guardians began preparing for departure. In the distance, another ship appeared, human in design, responding to the emergency beacon. "Your rescue approaches," Thelia noted. They stood in silence, hands clasped, as both of their peoples drew nearer. The impossible choice loomed between them. "Come with me," Thelia finally whispered. "The Guardians would welcome you." Nolan looked toward the approaching human vessel. "And never see Earth again, or I could stay," she offered. "Learn your world." The Elder Guardian stepped forward, perhaps neither necessary. Their luminous hand gestured toward the sky. "Bridges built can be. Ambassadors needed." Understanding bloomed between Nolan and Thelia. "Not an ending, a beginning. I could return to Earth. Explain what happened," Nolan said, hope rising. "Pair my people for contact. And I could deliver the seed, then return as envoy to humans," Thelia added, her inner light brightening. The Elder nodded. "Bond between yous, Trong Foundation for greater connection." As the human rescue ship landed nearby, Nolan pulled Thelia close one last time. Their foreheads touched, sharing thoughts, memories, promises. "This isn't goodbye," he whispered against her lips. "It's until we meet again." Thelia's light enveloped them both in a final embrace. "I will find you," she vowed, "cross any distance." "Ah!" When they parted, she pressed something into his hand, a small crystal that pulsed with the same rhythm as her heart. "To remember," she said simply. As Nolan walked toward his people and Thelia toward hers, he held the crystal tight. On this frozen world where he had expected to die alone, he had instead found connection that transcended worlds. The ice of Proxima 6 glittered beneath twin ships, preparing for departure, one bound for Earth, one for the stars, each carrying half of a story just beginning.